A few days ago, I posted a video of me playing a very weird but beautiful chord. So which chord is this? Is it a major chord, a minor chord, suspended chord, sharp 5, flat 9? Well, let's find out. First of all, let me tell you that you probably already heard this chord progression, since it is used in a lot of different songs.
Yes, she loves you, and you know you.
A jar of hearts and tearing love apart.
You see, the interesting thing is that sometimes some chords are open to interpretations, meaning we can't really just rely on the notes that make up the chord. For example, in this case, do we consider the D to be the root note of this chord, or the B flat, or the note E? There are a lot of different things that we can use to identify this chord. For example, the harmonic context. Which key are we in? On which scale degree is this chord built? Are we playing in a major or in a minor key? These are all things that can help figure out this chord. We can also use cadences. A cadence is a progression of chords played at the end of a chord progression. The reason why they're so important is because they help you figure out the home chord and the key of a song. Now, if we have to analyze this chord by these 4 notes, what do we get? Well, we have 2 chords. The first one is a D major, it's pretty clear. And then we move from the D major to this mysterious chord. Now we are playing the D, the B flat, the D, and the E. Now we can consider the B flat to be the root note of this chord. In this case, we will have the B flat and then the D. So root note and major third. We also have the D repeated on the 4th string. So we can definitely call this a B flat major over D. The thing is, we also have the note E, which is the augmented 4th, sharp 4th. We could call this a Lydian chord, even though in jazz music the Lydian chord is played with the major 7th as well. A beautiful sounding chord, but it doesn't sound quite the same. However, if we consider this chord to be a B flat major chord, let's see how it sounds after the D major chord. On the instrumental that I posted on YouTube, some of you suggested a D sus2 sharp 5. We're coming from a D sus2, a D major or a D sus2 chord, and then we bring this 5th half step up, which could be an option. We can also consider the B flat to be the minor third of the G minor chord, and the D to be the 5th of the G minor chord, which sounds pretty nice, and the E could be the 6th of this chord. So we have minor third, perfect 5th, and major 6th. And it sounds even better after the D major. I mean, even just D major and G minor is a nice chord progression. As you can see, sometimes we need to analyze different elements. In this case, we analyzed the notes, but we also checked the harmonic context. And in this case, I really think that this kind of G thing is probably the best option for this chord progression. Now that we have a hint on what this chord could be, let's just use harmonic context and cadences to confirm this theory. We can definitely say that we are in the key of D major. We start with the D major chord. So we can lay down the D major scale. And then we can build a chord on each one of these notes. We have D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, A major, B minor, C sharp diminished, and D. Now we have a G chord, but unfortunately it's a major chord and we need a minor chord, either a G minor chord or a G minor 6. However, if I play the G major chord without the third, just like a massive power chord, G, D, and G like this, the 4 notes of the mysterious chord sound beautiful over this G power chord. We are moving from chord 1 to chord 4, but we are still missing one piece. And this is when cadences become the last piece of this puzzle. In music, there are a lot of different cadences. For example, the perfect cadence, the holy grail of the cadences. I mean, this is the most beautiful thing that can happen in music. We have the chord 5 resolving to chord 1. In the key of D major, we could have chord 1 D, chord 4 G, chord 5 A, and we go back home, chord D, chord number 1. We also have the interrupted cadence, which is 5-6. Chord 5 doesn't resolve back to the chord 1, but it goes to chord 6. For example, D major, chord 1, G major, chord 4, A major, chord 5, and B minor, chord 6. We also have the Plagal cadence, which is 4-1. In this case, we will have G, the chord 4, going back to chord 1. And of course, last but not least, the cadence that we need, the minor Plagal cadence, which is 4-1, but the chord 4 is actually minor. And of course, we can use it also with the G minor 6. So how did I use this chord? Well, let me just show you a bunch of examples. You can start simple, like this. But then you can also outline the G minor chord even more. In this case, I am playing a G minor chord. That's a pretty obvious chord. We're playing D, we're playing B flat, and finally we're playing the G, which is the root note of this chord. Again. Now in this case, we are changing the singing note of this G minor chord. We start with the A on the fret 5, we have the G on fret 3, we have the F sharp, which is the major 7 of this chord, and we go back to the E. Beautiful chord. You can also let go of this idea and come up with your chords. For example, I could play a beautiful D add 9, followed by the G minor chord. After I play these chords a few times, then I played a completely different chord progression. In this case, we are outlining the D major key, since we are playing a D sus2, a D sus2 over C sharp, a B minor 11, an A major chord, and a G add 9 chord. And then again, we go back to the G minor 6. And of course, we can also go back to a completely different key and modulate to B minor, B minor, G minor, and D major, and G minor 6. Sometimes we have to go beyond the notes that make up the chord, and this is a clear example. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you liked the lesson. Let me know if you want more of these type of lessons. I'll be really happy to make you happy with more content like this. In the meanwhile, guys, I'm gonna leave you with this video. Enjoy this lesson, and I'll see you next time.